Welcome to Southwest Yard and Garden. I'm Curtis Smith. I've returned to the Albuquerque Botanic Garden. I'm visiting with Melissa Tapia here in the Xeriscape, and your title here is Master Gardener.
Correct.
Not to be confused with an Extension Service Master Gardener who's a volunteer. You're a paid employee.
I'm a paid employee. That's just my job title.
Okay, and you get to take care of all these wonderful plants.
I do.
And so let's look at some of the ones you've got here.
Okay.
What are good Xeriscape plants?
Well, we have the chocolate flower.
Oh, I've been smelling that all day. It smells good.
The chocolate flower blooms all summer. It only blooms early in the morning. As soon as it gets hot, the flowers close up. But they come bright and early the next day.
In the morning, it invites you outside. It can self-seed and spread around a little bit, but that's kind of good.
Right.
And you've got some other things here. I see the lamb's ears.
We have lamb's ears.
The most petable plant in the landscape.
It's a great plant. It's very soft. It blooms pretty much through the summer. Mm-hmm. And it has a great gray foliage color.
Yeah, after it blooms, you can cut it down and just have a nice ground cover that's soft gray-green.
Right.
And I see you've also got the Snow and Summer.
Snow and Summer. Snow and Summer's great. A good early spring bloomer. Nice white flowers.
It makes a nice gray mat after the top's removed, after the flowers are cut off.
A nice gray mat. It's a real pretty plant. I like it.
Excellent ground cover. You got the Matte Daisy in here as another ground cover.
The Matte Daisy is one of my favorites. It takes it a while to open up. As soon as the sun hits it in the morning, then the petals will open, and it blooms spring to midsummer.
Okay, so that gives you a pretty long season.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's a nice, very fine textured ground cover.
And it is pretty low water too.
Okay. And I see you've got ice plant.
Ice plant, everybody's favorite.
Yeah, everybody's seen it. It's a good bright colored plant, blooms all summer. Pretty tough plant.
Pretty tough plant.
But it's becoming so common, you want to use it with other things, not by itself.
Right.
And then you've got some artemisias.
Artemisias.
The sages.
Powis Castle. A great color. It does have a bloom, but it's
not showy.
Not very showy. But one thing we've learned about the Powis Castle is in the springtime, you really need to cut it back hard.
Almost to the ground.
Almost to the ground, so you don't have a lot of dead growth.
Otherwise you have some dead material left in there if you leave it higher.
Correct.
Okay, and then I see you've got the golden currant here. We talk about some of the taller things.
The golden currant, it's a great shrub, and it also produces berries for the birds.
And those are tasty if we eat them too.
Very tasty.
And the flowers are very fragrant in the spring.
The flowers are very
early spring. And you've got, the cherry sage, which is not related to the artemisia sage. It's a salvia related to the cooking sage.
Right. And one thing with the salvia greggii is that we've also learned to cut it back really hard in the spring, and you get a better compact little shrub and not a whole lot of dead growth.
It's not as leggy then, so that's really a better way.
Right. I prefer it that way.
And then you've got some of the lavenders.
Some of the lavenders. We have 3 lavenders. We have Spanish lavender. It's got a really nice flower, but it doesn't have the fragrance as the Providence lavender and the English lavender.
So which one do you like best?
I like the Providence lavender because it's tall. And it has a longer spike.
And how well do they survive here?
They do great. One thing about the lavenders, everybody thinks, oh, they take a lot of water. Well, they don't. Actually, the lavenders do better with less water than more water.
And I've heard of it being grown in Taos, so it's pretty hardy throughout the state.
It's pretty hardy throughout the state.
And then what else have we got here that we didn't talk about? The Mexican evening primrose.
That's
the garden weed.
The garden weed. I would recommend planting the primrose maybe in an area that you didn't mind it spreading.
It's going to spread underground.
It's going to spread. It's a very beautiful flower, but it does get pretty invasive.
It has a problem with the flea beetle eating it about this time of the year.
About this time of the year, which I think you said something really good about that.
Six-legged herbicide.
Six-legged herbicide.
So it looks like it's been hit with an herbicide, and it's really the insects doing that.
Right.
And then, I'm watching their desert willows growing up, getting ready to bloom. They're not ready yet, so there's something to follow. You've got a lot of grasses, ornamental grasses in here. I like the ornamental grasses. They're something we don't use enough of in our landscapes.
Right. I think it's great. The grasses just give everything a soft texture.
They provide kind of an accent, even though they're green, but through the winter they'll turn interesting colors.
And also, in the fall, if you leave the plumes on, you'll have them all winter.
Nice seed heads, which provide winter interest and in many cases attract the birds into the landscape during the winter.
Correct. And when there's nothing else blooming in the landscape, you still have those nice seed heads,
Okay, and I see a vitex.
Or vitex.
Which is a chase tree. Beautiful flowering pretty much through the summer.
Through the summer, blue,
You've got the blue, and
got the
I
blue.
have at home a pink.
a pink.
And I've seen kind of an off dirty white one. It's not my favorite, but in the right setting, it's an excellent plant
It's an
too.
excellent plant. It's great.
And then gaillardias.
We have gaillardias. Gaillardias are great. They bloom all summer long and can withstand little water.
And I see you've got the spiderwort, which is a plant I didn't expect to see here.
Right, and it grows great with little amounts of water.
Just a drip system around it.
Just a
The
drip
clumps are spreading, the flowers are bright.
And it's a beautiful grassy type foliage on it.
Nice one to have in the Xeriscape.
It's great. I love it.
Melissa, thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.